Hey, what's up, John? This is a demo video for you for your Oggdo killer by Dennis Lukianov. As you know, I just got this done. I've been working on and off on this guy for the last 2 days. It's installed with a Proffie V2 and a Goth master chassis. So these guys take a little bit of work. It's very involved. So you've got your stock V3 MPXLs in the emitter. I don't remember if you asked for those, but I gave those to you. This is a one button setup. So it's this main switch right here that does everything. And I use the stock prop buttons for the one button setup. So, just in case you're wondering. But there is a copy of your config file on your SD card as well. To get to everything, what you want to do, you want to unscrew this coupler right here. If you just unscrew the handle, it's not going to do anything. You have to grab this coupler right here and unscrew it. And then you can kind of pull back on the handle as you're doing it. But everything's so tight in this guy that when you take this out, your chassis might come out with you, and that's fine. Just come over here, and as you're pulling the chassis out, just kind of twist it. This is a super tight build. To get everything wired to the board like I did, it was super cram-fu. So it seemed to me, and I don't know because I didn't find too much info on it, but I kind of like to do these without looking anyway. But it seemed to me that this chassis was set up to where you can see your crystal is on top and it's facing down. That the accent pixel for this crystal was supposed to be wired in line with your blade, because the wire paths going down, there wasn't enough room for another 3 wires coming down. But I did that a little bit differently. I didn't want to wire up this crystal chamber in line with your blade. I wanted to wire it separately so it had its own animations. So I did a little bit of modifications to the inside of the chassis so that I could run those wires down and they'd still be out of the way. So you can't see anything there. Super neat. In fact, if you look really hard on the back side of this post here, you might see a black piece of shrink tube, and those are my extra 3 wires. But it's super hard to see that unless you have it in person, and then even then I made it nice and neat so it stays out of the way. You have a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker behind these gold doors right here. So the build's tricky. The speaker is actually one of the last things that you install before you start wiring up the board. But the speaker is in there, and it fires out this way, and then your venting, your crystal chamber venting on your Saber is actually your sound venting as well. Okay, and then you've got, of course, this gold plate is covering your board. Now it is held in with 4 rods. So the 2 rods up here towards the front, they're very short pieces. I don't even know what to, 0.15 inches long or something. But I glued those to this door, so they stay on the door. You can pop the door off and take it off if you need to. But then these two, there's a rod right here and a rod over here, and they slide in like this, and they hold the back piece. I put those in with just a little bit of E6000, so it wouldn't rattle around and it wouldn't fall out on you. So they can be pushed out with a pair of tweezers. Just coming over here and push them right out the back, they'll come out. But I wanted to make sure that they didn't come out accidentally, so that's what I did there. You do have a removable battery in this Goth chassis, so that's your battery compartment right there. Try to make everything nice and clean. I did have to come through with some wires right here and right here, so I put some shrink tube on there just so it wasn't quite such an eyesore. They actually go to this PCB right here, and this PCB is for the accent in your pommel. And I don't know if it's going to pick up in the light very well. Oh yeah, you can see it. That's a 7-pin PCB set in that handle, and that never comes out. That goes from about right here to right here. There's just like a 3D printed stem. On one side is this PCB, and then on the other side is a single accent pixel. And I'll show you what that does here in a moment when I light that up. But that is to give some extra added effect to your pommel. And then you also have a kill key. So your kill key is located right in here, and it's easy to come in here with your finger and flip it back and forth. It isn't nice and hidden in there though. If you can see it, it's like right in there. It's one of those things, again, you'll be able to see it a lot better in person. But there's a lot going on with this chassis. It hooks up to the front part or to the emitter part with 3 pins. So if you can see these 3 pins. The only other time I've used a pin system like this was when I installed the Solos Hold Dark Saber. I had to use those pins for the blade. And the pins were very similar, but these ones took that size, and then they also took a size smaller. There's actually two large pins, and then there's a small pin. I made the judgment call to leave those pins just barely sticking out, although they could have come up a lot more. I didn't like that. I didn't want them to get damaged or bent or anything, and so they're sticking out the least amount possible and still make contact with that system in there, and that is going to be kind of hard to see, but you'll be able to see that in person. There's just 3 sockets in there that these pins line up to, and it only goes in one way. Well, it goes in 2 ways. You can put it up like this or upside down. You're going to want to make sure that your brass switch right here is lined up with this guy right here, and I'll show you how to do that. So we'll throw a battery in it. I used the contacts that I have to use when I'm using this type of chassis, and so you need to make sure that you don't put your battery in the wrong way. The negative side of your battery goes over here by the crystal chamber. Okay, so the negative side of your battery goes over here by the crystal chamber. I just want to say that twice. So nothing's happening because I got the kill key flipped. We'll come over here and flip it.
You, like your father, are now mine.
This thing's super loud. It does have motion controls.
Strong dark side.
Crystals lighting up nice and bright. And you come over here and twist it off. Now, a couple of these sound fonts I just made, like either the crystal's going to be pulsing like that, or it has a heartbeat, or it's going on and off. I tried to make it do a little something while the saber was off, so you could have some effects, right? So now when we go to put this guy in here, again, your brass tactile switch right there, you're going to want to make sure that's on the same side as your actual switch. It only goes in. These 2 bump outs right here on the chassis, they line up with 2 cutouts in here in the saber. So if you start it out right, it should go right in. And at the very end, you push it a little bit, you're going to hear a little click. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that on the mic, but I'm going to try. That click right there, if you heard that. That means those pins are engaged and everything is where it needs to be. So now we can take our handle and just slide it on. As you're pushing it in, just kind of twist it. You're going to screw this coupler on a few threads, and it might get tight. Just keep pushing your handle all the way until you lock everything down. Now when we lock this chassis down and we get this handle all the way in, we've also engaged that 7-pin PCB set back here for your pommel accent, right? So when we swing that on, now you can see your pommel accent. Crystal's looking good. LED's looking good. Super loud. We could twist it off, or we could come over here and we could just tap the activation button. Short presses for blaster bolts. A long press to turn it off. Just like that. Now we'll throw a blade in it. This takes a 1-inch NeoPixel blade. I wasn't sure if it was going to take my new blade or not, but I think it will. I'm not going to use your blade retention though, because this guy's super tight. Yeah, so your blade retention is a little grub screw right here, but I'm not going to use that. All right, so we'll swing this guy on. I had to pull up. I actually pulled up the prop file because I don't use one button very much at all. So I have the prop file in front of me. If you need a copy of this so that you can see what this saber does, I can send it to you, no problem, right? But to change the sound font when the saber's off, you just hold down the button for a second and let go. Yeah, we went to the next font. You can see that. And now to when we want to play our music track. When you want to play your music track, you hold down the button for 1 second and let go when the blade is on. And I don't know if you can hear that, but it's playing right now. And then we turn it off the same way. When the blade is on, just hold down for a second and let go. And then we'll go to the next one.
Smooth Jedi.
And then we're kind of on to the stock fonts, which I did leave on here, but I didn't code everything differently. So the stock fonts, your blade, your crystal chamber, and your pommel will be the same color. So we got red chamber, red blade, red pommel.
Smooth gray.
And that's going to be the same on all of these. Bit of a rainbow here. Rainbow on your crystal chamber and then on your pommel as well. We'll go back to the very beginning.
Smooth fuzz. Rogue Commander. Teensy. Smooth Jedi.
We're almost there.
Smooth gray. Smooth fuzz. Rogue.
I'm Cal Kestis.
So now we're on the Fallen Order sound font. And I have your crystal kind of pulsing there on the yellow. And then it goes to a blue. So you got good flash on clash. And we'll turn it off and take your blade out. So yeah, everything's working like it should, and we'll go over taking the chassis out with the battery in it one more time. So again, we're just going to come over here and unscrew this coupler right here. And just twist the handle as you're doing it. Makes everything a lot easier. And then when your handle comes out, you might bring the chassis with it. No biggie. And we'll just pull that right out. And I will come over here before I take the battery out. I'll just flip the kill switch and then you'll see the crystal die. Just like that. And that's pretty much your saber. Let me know if you got any questions. If not, you know, I'll try to get this out in the mail to you Tuesday because post office is closed on Monday. All right, thanks, man.